There was actually a guy in Skokie in his bathtub who was like ready to yell down the steps, "Honey, this guy I watch on YouTube, yeah, quantum of he finally lost it." The guy thought I was going to do an hour and a half just staring catatonically into the camera. Um, Guys, to start, we need to thank Gabrielle for sending me her personal Raggedy Ann. So one of my original toys from childhood, I don't remember a time when this thing wasn't around. I mean, he could have, I don't know, maybe he was there 1, 2, 3 years old. I don't ever remember a time when this thing was not in my life. All the other little stuffed animals I've ever had a bear, some kind of I had a lion, some sort of a stuffed frog or something. It's all gone. This is the only thing my mother saved, and she gave this to me, I don't know, like about a year and a half ago, and I started using it in presentations as the representation of the normie. And our biggest frustration of all time, how the normie thinks. We're getting better at understanding it using loose terms and concepts we don't quite understand, like the download, tuning to a frequency, the ship of fools on the river of insanity. So Andy will continue. And it's just a role, buddy. I know you're not that. You see it too. I know, buddy. Just you got to continue to play your role as the normie, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, your cousin, your mother, your brother from another mother that just can't see anything we can see. Can't wait to watch the evening news to learn about cases and whatever the what do we call it, the it was a little deviant called Comic Con and what's next, and they just can't wait. They go along with everything, and you'll continue. I know you can see, buddy. You continue to. That's your role here. It's like Django. You'll be playing a role, and you will be playing a character, and you must never break character, Andy, which is the normie. And here, I'm not sure how this will evolve, but and will be us. And will be people that can see, who can see through this incredible bullshit clown show. And then, as usual, there's frustration, at least in the roles they're playing. They're very friendly um, off camera. I mean, I've only had Anne here for a little under a week. And, they say that they're taking it slow, but I hear noises at night. I mean, something's going on. It's been 47 years 48 years since Andy's been with his own kind. And, and that's assuming, being with his own kind coming off the assembly line is not the best place to, we'll just we'll keep it at a PG. But Ann will play us. And obviously, major frustrations between those who can see and those who can't, especially in a relationship. Or a lot of people will send me emails where they struggle with the spouse who can't see a damn thing, and that's got to be the toughest situation of all. And by the way, you sent me an email on that, and you're like, I'm talking about you. No, there's a lot of people that have shared with me, a lot of people that they see everything you can see, that I can see, and the spouse sees none of it. And okay, what was there from 7-Eleven as a part-time job and all that, fine. But now, when her whole world is being turned upside down, and you have that sort of separation, and they're going along with everything, and oh, who's going to be on TV? Oh, Dr. F's going to make a presentation. Guys, I don't watch any news. I don't know if he's become like Cuomo, a disgraced character. It wouldn't surprise me. I'm probably saying it because I probably heard something, but what they do is they build these creeps and creatures up like Cuomo, and then they get people to latch onto them and like them and attach, and then they disgrace them. All part of the script. And I'm sure if they haven't already done that to Dr. F, um, again, I really don't know, guys. I mean, I might have heard something, but anyway, it's just a script that all these characters follow. Build them up, get everybody, billions of people to love them, and then disgrace them and flush everybody down with them. We never liked him to begin with, or any of these creeps like Cuomo. So, guys, Andy will continue to play the role in this presentation. Hopefully, it won't just be a complete rehash of what I did 6, 7, 8 months ago. Hopefully, we've learned a few more things about concepts we don't understand, the download, the frequency, why they continue to stay on the ship of fools in the river insanity, why we were able to jump off, swim to shore, climb up on the bank. So we'll get into that in just a moment. And I'm not sure exactly what Anne's role going to be. Guys, when I got into this, and started using Andy, I had no idea that these characters evolved um, into the representation of Vac's injury. I had no idea. So how synchronistic or strange is that? Um, Something happened to the creator of these characters. Something happened to his daughter, and I don't know if the creator of these characters pushed for it. Some stories say he might have been a little bit involved, but some stories say he wasn't involved at all. But the characters, because of what happened to his daughter, that they blamed on, I don't know, was it a polio vaccine? She became, or the characters on behalf of the daughter that was injured became the face of anti-V. And what are the chances? Matt, you must have known that when you were using this. No, it's just, I mean, this is the last quote stuffed animal that my mother had saved. She sent it to me, I don't know, a year and a half ago. I just started using it. I had no idea. So, what are the chances of that? But I guess nothing surprises us anymore. Before we get into it, and try to bring that topic in terms of understanding how the people around us behave, try to take it a little bit farther. And of course, your look back at your comments again, and it all feeds on itself. My presentation goes out. I get emails. I get comments. I get given new ideas. I work them into my own ideas. We evolve. We move forward. It's just a very positive loop of feedback that at least takes our understanding forward as we move along. But what are the trolls? What are the pathetic troll channels going to do with this? This is rather easy to take out of context. A few screenshots. Matt's gone mad. Look at the clown show he's presenting over at Quantum of Conscience. Well, guys, again, variety. When you do something like this, it will be taken out of context by the pathetic trolls. But variety is necessary here. I mean, me presenting the same one page about my understanding of reality, which I need to visit that very soon, just the revised one page of how reality works and our role here in life as human beings in the avatar. That evolves as well. But me presenting that is basically no time after time in the same fashion, is like me just might as well just stare into the camera. I mean, I do a lot of different things here. I try to be creative, and some of it works, some of it doesn't. If it doesn't, just laugh at me. So, be funny if the trolls latch on to this one, but who cares? By my heel, I care not. So let me collect my notes here, and I'll be right back. Okay, for those that don't remember the presentation, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago, start with the absolute basics. Although I think we can push our conclusions of that presentation out about 10%. We still have a long way to go. But the absolute basic of the situation is, as we said, there's a group, most people in the world, 99%, um, hey, just basically go along with whatever authority says, believe the news, etc. And let's just call it 1%. And inside 1% of the entire world is a very, very large group. That this is not us. 1% are skeptical to a degree. I don't think they would understand anywhere near some of the things that we understand. I don't want that to sound arrogant. I'm not saying me, I'm saying you too. I'm just saying the 1% that it might be a little skeptical. We are 1/10 of that 1% that see as much as we see. And Matt, if you're being that arrogant about it, isn't can't you make the assumption that you guys could potentially be wrong? No, no, I'm sorry. We there another presentation here comes Anderson Cooper back around with maybe another presentation about Voyager 1 and 2, still out there, still going, bang, 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 still going. Oh, they're how many billions of miles past the Kuiper Chastity Belt and still pinging a little, and then they show you the little desktop at NASA that's here's the signals coming back from Voyager. The D and C battery life is 40 years beyond what I mean, no, we're not wrong. Okay, there's no possible way, and this is one of thousands of examples. There's no possible way V'ger 1 and 2 is out there billions of miles past the Kuiper Chastity Belt pinging signals back with the equivalent signal strength of like a transistor radio, even if it was able to operate 40 years past its life. How does it, it's hard for me. I have a BB gun here, and for me to hit like, there's like a bird, my neighbor has like a birdhouse. For me to hit that birdhouse is awfully difficult. Well, for a little signal, a billion miles past the Kuiper belt to hit Earth going at 60,000 miles an hour, whatever, that would be like me hitting my BB gun, my Red Ryder, hitting that birdhouse from not that birdhouse is going to stay put, but I have to go to the Great Wall of China and then get drunk and be spun around blindfolded. And then even that, it's probably 100 million times easier. It's okay. So we could do any of these examples, V'ger 1 and 2. We're not wrong. Okay, we're not wrong. It's so, yeah, it's freaking easy to see. It is. So there's a reason why these people can't see it. And it's a reason that's like a metaphysical reason or a reason that goes beyond known reality. Matt, you're giving an event horizon speech. It deserves an event horizon speech. In the old days, oh well why couldn't there be V'ger 1 and 2? But they wouldn't lie to in the old days go in the old days all we believed was all we could come up with is we'd look inside our reality bookends for the answer that these people need to protect their worldview. It was all about that. And from a cognitive perspective and a psychological perspective, seeing the truth would be too difficult on them. So they kind of deep down know there is some truth out there and they're deluding themselves, but they hide from it because it's just too hard to handle. And is that a factor? Of course it is. But does that explain it all the way? No. We have to look outside these reality bookends. So we started doing that about we people that participate here, people like you, people like me, people that come to people that email me, comment. No, other channels have other most YouTube other truth channels didn't start looking out of their known bookends of known reality for the answer, but we did. So get into first thing that I started talking about was the download. Okay. Um, we'll get into the really strange stuff like your reality bubble could be separate from Andy's, your neighbors, your butcher, your baker, your candlestick maker, brother from another mother. Reality bubble, it seems the same. There's some creep named Tom Brady that won like 6 or 7 Super Bowls or something, and we share that. But maybe the reality bubbles are a little bit different than we thought. So you have to go out. The first attempt at going outside the reality bookends for me was saying the download. And right from the start, I said it's not a good term. Do I believe they have some sort of my favorite Martian antenna that like a firmware update? No, but that's kind of how it operates. There are things outside of perception that are fooling these people, or we literally have complete different reality bubbles in these areas. But we'll go there last. That's a little bit too strange to go there first. And the reason this was the first like they're getting a download to sync up to the reality that the news says is happening, and the download, it's some sort of mind control that we don't understand. It doesn't allow them to see objective facts, and it's hard to push the two different reality bubbles at least right away because I could say to Andy here, you know, do you like let me show you this clip from 2001. Do you see the inflated tire under the WT? It's there for you, and it's I can see it. Can you see it? And that most will say, yeah. I doubt we're going to go out one day with these huge, here they come again, right now, huge trails, and the person's going to say, no, it's completely blue. I mean, they will say that there are trails up there. So we do share that. Andy will see the inflated tire, but there is no possible way from a common sense perspective to explain away how that possibly all these nothing else remained, all the metal went to nothing, that everything was vaporized. Guys, we don't need to do the sidebar. I know what happened or didn't on that day. We just using the official narrative, but somehow this person will find a way to explain how not only did the rubber survive, it was inflated. I mean, why didn't the tire company use that as the biggest advertising campaign and commercial? It could be bigger, much bigger than Flow from Progressive. Just look what our tire did. They never used it. Anyway, so they'll find a way and it is there's no way to explain how they find a way to explain that away. There's no way for us to explain their behavior. It is bordering on insane. So the reason we talked about the download for that reason, they're getting some sort of download. But again, I've evolved my understanding a bit. Certainly don't understand exactly what's going on, but it's evolved a bit from the download. The other major reason for the download is what's happened to us many times in the Mandela affected community. And I told the story about Tony, but I've seen hundreds of these stories. I've had people email me about they gave very, very quick. We'll go through it. Tony, if you build it, what happens? And Tony says, well, everybody knows that, if you build it, he will. No, if you no, it's trying to sync me up to the reality. If you build it, they will come. So he gave all his answers one way, and then I've told the story many times. He kind of like he didn't glitch out, but he just paused and for a second, and he kind of said, I don't know exactly what he said. He said, but I want to change some of these answers. And then he went back and basically changed all his answers to sync up to the known reality. And I said to my other friend, who's no longer a friend, but he likes listening to me about the conspiracy stuff. He's a complete normie. He doesn't care one way or another, but he's open-minded to it. You could say that. He just doesn't care one way or another. He doesn't run from it. I said, did he just glitch out like he got some kind of a download and change all his answers? And the guy said, yeah, he had a weird look on his face, then he changed all his answers. So I've heard this enough where it's very similar, and it's hard to understand this aspect of it if you're not Mandela affected. Um, with the people that are Mandela affected, we've seen people give hints in terms of what we remember or what we know was in a past reality. And then if they're really not, they're not. I don't know how to say this without being sounding arrogant. If they're not as I don't know, evolved as we are in terms of understanding truth, or they have their guards down, they don't have their armor on as we do, they haven't dropped as many veils, they'll kind of realize they said something or they had a belief that went against the current reality, then they'll immediately change it. It's really strange. It's like a download. And guys, I think basically we live in a gigantic Mandela effect where many things are changing. This is Zara's tale. Many things are changing all day long, and we do sync up to the new reality. I think this is very common in the way reality works. But there's a few things when maybe reality is changing so unnaturally, so artificially, that it's moving so quickly that there's a change, and we're rooted to the old reality. But there was an example with a family member. I was talking about Australia. We don't need to get into that Mandela effect. It's number one for me. But the family member said, "Yeah, that is strange. I remember just writing reports about it and in high school, just so many thousands of miles out on its own, and it does look a little strange being pushed up against Papua New Guinea. For those that are triggered by Mandela effect, I'll move off that. Okay, I know there's still 15% here. Don't want any part of that conversation. We all bring different things to the table. Not everybody can see it. It's not misremembering. So well, I'll move off it. But she'll say, "Yeah, that does strange." Then there's an excuse like, "But I guess it's just me, I must misremembered." And then there's never a talk of it again. Like that person, they had a they were holding on a bit to what we call the old reality, and then it was acknowledged, but then the reality came in and overwrote them somehow, like literally like a download or a firmware update, and then they'll never be mentioned again. Once they have a little moment where they might remember, or they might remember, life is like a box of chocolates. See, it's doing it to me. Reality will always work. It will work tirelessly to bring everybody on the preferred channel of where the ship of fools is sailing. That's why residual evidence for a certain example disappears over time. It just does. And the people that originally put out the residual, the wrong information, they'll go back and correct it, and there'll be like no mention of. This is becoming a Mandela effect conversation. I'll do that sometime, but let's just say um, it was these types of experiences that led me to my initial um, philosophy or belief set that these people, in some way, are getting a download. Doesn't mean it's all technology. It doesn't mean it's all related to 5G and it's all tech and it's all no again these creeps they understand how reality works and they have a probably a long-term understanding of things that we can't even possibly fathom that's in the Vatican Library and all that, or what they stole from the fable of the Library of Alexandria. They have their fingers on reality buttons and levers, and there's certain group here that's just not affected. And this it being Mandela affected is not much different than being able to see a ridiculous presentation in a news story and just see right through it immediately. It's really a similar skill set. And I know many people that see the truth are not Mandela affected, but again, we all bring different things to the table. So let me, Zara's, I don't know what she wants to get fed here or what. I need to recollect my thoughts on the next phase, which would be the frequency. Reality tries to tune everybody to a certain frequency, which is very similar to the download. The next phase, which is really close to the download concept, is frequency.
Favorite brand. What my patients are saying. She says her gums are irritated. Is there anything you can do? You can try new Crested
Oh
5
boy.
or wonderful.
It is based on expectations, and they did exceed expectations in the eyes of.
They absolutely
This is the Philadelphia Sports Talk.
make it a success.
215-592-9494. Coming up, that piece of audio of Howie the other day, talking about the idea of continuing to rebuild or go for it. What Howie said in his press conference this week. We'll play that audio for you.
Howdy McCoskey is doing press conferences on behalf of the Philadelphia Eagle. No, it's Howie Roseman or something.
Saturdays 1 to 3, only on Sports Radio 94 WIP.
All they talk about all day are the Philadelphia Eagles. See, they're out of the playoffs. It's still Eagles talk every day. I need to. I just have to pause this to make sure you could hear that, guys. I'll come right back. Somebody put it real well recently, something along the lines of real people, real spiritual beings that have no chance that they're NPCs or anything like that. We don't know what everybody else is. We know who we are. Real people are not out to change the world. The world is out to change real people. And I think that is extremely well put. And again, real people are not out to change the world. The world will be so much better if we can get all these Hillary Clintons off to jail. That's what it wants. The world is out to change real people or hide real people from, the way I've said it, hide people from understanding who they truly are or remembering who they truly are with its playbook, with its distraction, with its noise, with its putting everybody in camps and the thousands of other ways that it does it. And it relates back to a concept I talked about years ago where I said, are we, at least in this moment in history or in this astrological age, or as we move through the processions of the equinoxes or whatever, are we really here to level up into some divine state here? And I would always go back and say, I don't know. It really feels like our role now is to hold on. Like, what's that movie where it says, it's time to survive? I guess it's Braveheart. Longshanks is the most brutal king ever to sit at the throne of England, and it is not time to go get more lands and try to do this and try to do that. It's time to survive, and I relate that back to not just like survive, but it's time to hold on to the essence of who we are, not give any pieces of ourselves away. And as more time goes by, I think that okay, there's a lot we can do here to accomplish for ourselves. There's a lot of it's an incredible this world is an incredible dumping ground, just like releasing things, and no doubt about it. I don't want to turn it into a karma conversation, but there's a lot of great things you can do, and a lot of tools here from which to do those great things. But at the very minimum, it's mostly about in this era, in this age, holding on, like just like hanging on to a cliff. Just we need at least at this in this era for the last few decades, for the next few decades, however long it lasts. Do you have to become this incredible spiritual being like Neo that will just fly up and rise up? Oh, and no, it's time to survive. It's time to just holding on and remembering, you know, that this is just a tiny train stop and you're part of something much bigger, and just having the veils drop, but then as the veils drop, the armor gets thicker. You know, that's to me the main purpose of what we're to do, just to hold on. I mean, well, Matt, that's not very, you're not really shooting or aiming too high. I hear you. But in this era, I mean, in what we're faced with, to hold on to yourself, to not give in, I think that's enough. I really do. Um, so, again, well put. I mean, a real person does not out to change the world. It's going to remove its corrupt systems with another system that it will soon, because it is the dominant force here, will soon learn to corrupt. It's assuming you could remove its corrupt systems in the first place. No, but it's out to change you, and it's out to change you by tuning you down to tune you down the frequency. And just go down to 94 where the sports talk was. Say down that end of the frequency, and most people are right there or right around that frequency. And in my opinion, those that are on it or are right around it, the reality has worked over the course of their entire lives to tune them to that frequency, which means reality's taught them to cut spiritual ties with themselves, to believe there's something else that they really are, to never understand their true power. I mean, all the things the reality's done to kind of beat people down over the course of their lives and brainwash them. But then once they get them to the frequency, the point is, then whatever authority it's got them, it has them, and it has reality tricks and buttons and levers we don't understand. It knows it can present almost anything on the news, like what's going on now over the last 2 years, and it knows people simply won't question even the obvious. Those that are, say that the sports talk again was 94, those that hover around the frequency, 95, 95 and a half, 96, 7, it has to work a little bit harder for those people to get them to go along. And it uses conformity and peer pressure. But it's not, it knows it's got you if you're kind of close to that frequency. And it's practiced, and it is experimented on, quote, the human being for a long she get up there for a long, long time. It's experimented on the human being, and then it feeds its results into its sentient world simulation and Whopper and Joshua, and the next time it knows it can manipulate people even more easily. What's happening now, this thing, it's not. It's not. I'm almost positive of this. People are like, this is the end all. This is a final move to checkmate. No, it's not. This is just one more way to move society into a certain place to get people a little bit closer to the frequency, and another opportunity for this thing here, whatever it is, to study humanity, so it can even manipulate humanity even more the next time. What's next? I mean, there's several steps next. The chipping under the skin, the brain chipping. This isn't the end all checkmate. It's more of an opportunity so it can learn about and what it can get away with. And it's at this point, honestly, for most people, it is ahead of schedule. I think that we used to say it's behind schedule. With what's going on, it is ahead of schedule. Every country bowing down to what authority says should be done regarding this thing, almost every country bowing down in 8 weeks and then going along with it. And I know we hear little pockets, excuse me, guys, little pockets of stories about, the last pocket of story is about Kazakhstan, and the news will they'll admit there's all sorts of rioting and I don't know, trying to take down the government. All that news exists, but the reason for the news is about gas prices, and there are some underground channels. It's almost impossible to get real news from Borat's home country, but people are saying it's because they're not willing to live with like Philadelphia, passports to get into a restaurant. They're not willing to do that, and they're finally pushing back. And I hope they are, but I don't know. I mean, it is mind-boggling how like we can't get information, any sort of information from a gigantic country with Kazakhstan, like twice the size of Texas. So, I mean, you'd think it was as simple as if we knew somebody, we could just call them and say, "What's going on there?" But I don't know. It's like we can never get any information. It's really strange. So if you know anybody in that country, please comment below. Now, in terms of frequency, I mean, we've worked to to push ourselves all the way to the other end of the dial. And some of us here are more junior truthers. Some of us are 10th level Jedi's, have been doing this a long time. Either way, once you get down 100, 104, away from the 94, away from that Philadelphia Eagles sports talk over and over again, the same complaints about Jalen Hurts over and over and over and over and over and over. I mean, it doesn't work on us anymore. We've dropped veils. We have this armor, and then it's just a matter of putting the time in and understanding in terms of how reality works and what you really are. But you're not going to fall for its tricks anymore. You're too far up the dial. We can't move off the dial. We're in this life. We're in this train stop. We're in this body. We're in this avatar. We're always the dial. We'll always be on the dial, which means we're always susceptible. We can always move down. We're always susceptible to go back again, and we can't move off the dial. We're not just going to transform into a light being like that character in Star Trek: The Next Generation. They just morphed right in front of on the bridge of the Enterprise. We're not going to do that. I mean, we're in the Avatar until death, what they call death, the metamorphosis, and just a train stop. So, so that's very similar to the download, and we don't know all the mechanisms and means they have access to tune the masses to that frequency. But once they get them there, they got them. They got them. And it's almost like a different reality. It's almost like, again, the Anne will come and just one spouse sees and the other doesn't, and just say, well, can I just ask you a question? I mean, how do you what's your explanation about how the tire was inflated? Like, how is that? Doesn't that kind of raise your skepticism a little bit? And I've heard everything from these people that, Matt, they'll give you information about aircraft tires being an inch and a half to 2 inches thicker than a car tire, and all this. They'll find ways to explain it away. Like, what? Didn't you, guys? You know my belief on what happened or what didn't happen, but let's just say it did. I mean, you saw the thing go to disintegrate through 80,000 tons of of shard metal and 3,000-degree fireball. That was there. I mean, and then how'd they find a way to rationalize? I've had people even when I presented this initially, started talking over and over again endlessly about the inflated tire 5 or 6 years ago. I had people on this channel, like truthers, trying to say how it could happen. Like, what? So it is hard to fathom. A junior truther might say, well, Matt, if there's no way it could survive or whatever, and well, that means somebody in the old school black van had to put it there. Well, why would they do that? Why would they? They had to. The event itself was kind of big enough to be to support the story. What did they have to do that for? And it gets into there's certain elements. Excuse me. Oh, there's certain elements in each. Um, there's certain elements in each event that there has to be something that we can latch on to. There has to be, it's part of the rules here, it seems. There has to be an absurd element for us to be able to see through it. Or it must, per the contractual rules they seem to have to follow, it has to give itself away. They're not stupid in their planning and execution. There's some rule here. I don't know any other way to explain it, but they have to put in the absurd element. The absurd element has to be there for people like us who can notice it. The kid named Rome in the high school in Texas, he played baseball. I'm trying to separate the thoughts here. It was called Santa Fe High School, and he got it through the neck and through the head. He got it through the head. Then he went to his porch and gave interviews, and then Michael Strahan, that incredible sellout, flew in and interviewed him the next day. Then 2 days after the event, after getting it through the head, he pitched. Now, they're not stupid. again, there's one of these. You could pick any event. There's these buffoonery, absurd aspects of all. It's in every one. They're not stupid. They didn't have to. Somebody could have raised their hand, and little George Soros could have said, "Well, wait, maybe we need to let him not pitch for 3 weeks, or people will see right through it." That's why it's there, the absurdity, because they have to work this way. Um, and it's almost like if they continue to work this way and people don't wake up to it, well, then they can take another bite of the shit sandwich. But I don't know. So that's basically it's the download then converted into the frequency. And there's a lot of there's a lot of things um, that you can do to tune yourself away, away from the never-ending Philadelphia Philadelphia Eagles sports talk. There's a lot of things you can do, hundreds of different things, even associated with the body, things I don't do, like clean water and good eating and sun I do. I get out whenever I can, even when it's 20 something degrees. If it's clear blue skies, before the trails come in, I always will get out there. Trails usually don't come till about 10, 11 o'clock. And I'll try to get out there as early as I can before they start, um, doing their funny business. At least I can get sometimes an hour of decent sun in. So the sun is very very important. So I try to do that. I don't eat very well, and I could do a little bit better there. But there's a lot of different things to tune yourself off the frequency. So that's part two, I guess. The last part of at least my evolution of why people act the way they act, the download, the frequency, they're all related. It's not like one doesn't have any more merit or goes away. I think they're all tied in. It's just trying to increase our understanding of what's going on. I think we'll need Raggedy Ann and Andy for this one. It gets back to the analogy or the concept of the ship of fools on the river of insanity, and those of us who have jumped off the ship and swum. Is that a Philly thing? Murdered me, dirter. Swam to shore. That's not. I'm not just trying to be cute saying they're on the ship of fools, the river of insanity. It is a way of saying something about reality itself, and it does, in a way, relate to the Mandela effect. Again, I'm not going to get into that same conversation, talk about Curious George's tale, but it relates because I believe reality itself is far more fluid and shifty, and things change all the time than we possibly can imagine. Even people in this community, if things change, I think who knows how many changes there are a day. 100 big ones, 1,000. Some people say reality is set millions of times a second. I mean, I don't buy into. I don't know how anybody could know that. I don't really buy into that, but I do believe reality is from our senses. We're meant to believe everything is so fixed and rigid. That's the way it is presented to us. I don't believe that's the case. I believe it does kind of flow. And these creeps have their hands on certain reality buttons and levers, and they know how it works. So over time, the ship, it wants everybody on the ship. The ship represents all of society, all of culture, and the ship sails down now a current or a course set by the creeps. All of society, all of culture, and everybody in on that ship. They have full control of their Black Pearl, their captain with Captain Jack Sparrow. Savvy? They're full and they're taking it into a very sick place. And a few of us, the 1/10 of the 1%, have noticed this. We went along with it. I went along with it for many, many years and decades. You went along with it for many, many years and decades. But the major event, it's the yin and yang. When they did the 7-Eleven as a part-time job, 2001: A Space Odyssey, when they did that, some people say that was meant to wake us up, but at the very minimum, it was done because they needed to accomplish something, and they had it, the yin and yang. It has to give back on the other side. It had to give things back to us, and maybe they were even aware of it. And they're creepy. Did Jared serve yet? He's late with the pigs in the blankets. Get him in here with the pigs in the blankets. And what little George Soros? So go find Jared. You've got something to say before. Yeah. Well, if we do that, you want to do that. You want to follow through on your quest to overcome duality in this realm and your two into one religion, whatever, you do realize this group of people are gonna they're gonna see through it. They're gonna all wake up. Well, we know that, little George. We know they're all gonna wake up. In fact, we that's part of the rules of this game. We got to make sure they wake up. We gotta send the old school van here to throw an inflated tire out the back and go then try to get blue into the fraternity. We have to do we know that we got to play within these rules, but we're willing to do that, little George. We're willing because we've got these people in a box. We've got these dumb MFers. They're the boys that and the girls that cried wolf. We'll have them cry wolf so many times for when it really matters and they have something really important to present to everybody around them. Two things will have happened. We will have put them in such a horrible state of the boy that cried wolf. They're not to be believed anymore. We've done a great job of that, they'll say. But then these people, we will have tuned them, and they will have sailed long enough on the ship of fools that they won't see it anyway, or they won't want to see it, almost like they're in their own reality bubble. So I wasn't just trying to be cute. We were, let's just say, okay, as I've said many times, in 1996, the big insurance company sent me to LA. And then LA was 3 years in LA, living off via Marisol, the 110. Horrible. I didn't like LA at all. And I didn't really like San Francisco either. But when they sent me up there in 99, I was happy to get up there, even though some guy came. Well, wasn't there very long, waiting to cross the street. Some guy came up and pooped right on all that stuff. But anyway, I didn't like it much either, but it was way better than Los Angeles. Anyway, a few years later, I just quit and moved moved to Pennsylvania without a job. I can't take this anymore. But anyway, guys, the point is, I was a complete child of the Matrix. I was completely on the ship. Whatever authority would have said, I would have gone along with, and I know that's not the case with many of you. I believed, I guess, I don't know, probably for 6 or 7 years, believed fully in the 7-Eleven story. Every bit of it, believed every bit of it. There's a guy that we almost got. I would always say we almost got in the cave, and he fled. We almost got him. He fled through the Tora Bora mountains and dragging his dialysis machine behind him with a fleet of goats. But nobody. If somebody would have come along and just jogged a little bit of my memory of remembering, who I really was, I think it would have come around a lot sooner. It took watching YouTube, the days where YouTube was very open to have me come around. And when I was introduced to something, it came around very quickly. But if somebody would have been there to say, well, wait a second, 2003, somebody on the street, just nobody around me was awake at all. If somebody would have said, well, you've heard these stories how they can, from satellites and the hundreds of miles away, they can see like what brand of shoes a mosquitoes wear, and they can see all. But then this guy and his goats they just dragged a bunch of equipment over the Tora Bora Mountains, and they didn't have their laser blasters and their satellites in place to see it. I would have then I would have woken up immediately, but there was nobody around me to try to wake me up, and I don't think I would have been like a complete normie and be like, I don't want to hear that, you conspiracy. I think I would have been pretty open to it. It's just there was nobody around me saying things like that, and it took YouTube videos. So, guys, I was on the ship of fools. Many of you were people like Greg, the first day of 7-Eleven: A Space Odyssey. The first day, he's trying to talk to people in his crew. They were like, finely tuned machines at work and precision instruments and things like that. And he's trying to tell people very early on that that can't happen. Don't you guys understand that just can't happen? From which to me it made perfect sense because I was on the ship of fools. And the idea behind the ship of fools is reality. They have their buttons and their levers. It just slowly resets. If you could take, let's just say you were here in 1970 and you took a spaceship and went off somewhere, you know what I believe about that. We're not going to get it. And then you came back 40 years later. You would see like, wait a second, there's no way this could have naturally evolved into this. But if you're there on the ship of fools and it's slow changes, but it's not just that. There's a metaphysical process, almost like a Mandela effect, a resetting of the new normal, the resetting of what reality should be, or what the Constitution should be. And it's not just them with man-made buttons and levers shaping culture. I think there's something metaphysical going on, like the Mandela effect, and you just keep people just keep going along with it. So at some point, the variety of us at some point jumped off the ship. And what what that means to me is as soon as you're off the ship in the water swimming towards the bank, then you can hold on to the reality you remember or what you believe the standards of normal should be. The ship continues to sail towards its idiocracy, it melds. The people, I don't we don't know the mechanism. Is it a Mandela effect where everybody's being reset to a new reality, or is it more like traditional mechanisms like mind control? It doesn't matter. The ship's sailing, and now once you are off the ship, then its magic no longer works on you. You've dropped veils, you've hardened your armor, you're on the bank looking, and it's continuing to sail. That's why the reality to us gets more and more insane. And does anybody think at any point that ship is going to stop or anchor and reality will kind of level out for 20 years? No, no. It will. It might ebb and flow in terms of its degree of insanity, how quickly it goes in, towards the complete absurdity clown show. But it might ebb and flow a bit, but it's not going to stop. It will always look stranger and stranger to us now that we've gotten off of it and remember what the world was, or remember what we're all about. It will always look stranger and stranger to us as time goes on because we are firmly or completely off the ship. To those on the ship, we look insane. And we have talked about this many times. From the reality's perspective, they would be right. We are insane because everything, the basis of this whole place is centered around the ship. What is culture? What is accepted norms? How should people act? What is the role of this? It's all about the ship in this reality. They're on the ship. They're melding with it. They're flowing with it. If there's something changes, they're changing with it. If something might change and say completely insane. How can people not see right through that? They're just changing along with it, like a gigantic, to me at least, like a gigantic Mandela effect. There's no change or date of change. Even whatever's changed or the accepted standard probably moves back like retroactively, like retrocausality back through time. They look at us and go, why do you guys even complain about this stuff? This is completely normal, and it's only going to get worse, quote worse. I think our situation's great to finally jump off, to wake up. It's going to be tough on us, no doubt about it. But in the scheme of things, I'm thrilled with the situation that I'm in. Oh gee, I'm in my 50s. I got what, 25, 30 more years left in this tiny little train stop. Big deal. Big deal. How bad is it going to, big deal. I'd rather take the experience out of here um, than try to hold on to creature comforts. And I can't go to a restaurant in Philadelphia anymore. Who cares? So I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't trade my situation for anything in terms of giving back my understanding. Just it's a billion on one side to zero on the other end of the scale. There's no way I would give it back for whatever reason. I can't go to a concert anymore. Who cares? Anyway, I know that's easy for me to say because I don't have kids and I don't have, it's much easier for me to say. I hear you. I hear you. But it's again the download and then the frequency evolved into the ship of fools and the river of insanity, and that's just not a cute term. It's reality's flowing. The people on the ship, which is 99 point whatever percent, are flowing with it, like a Mandela effect, where someone would say, "Well, Curious George, I remember clearly as a kid." Someone may say, "Never had a tail." They would be right. There was no date of change in the reality reflected all back through time with some it's kind of like it causes a problem. I'm glad the residuals exist, but it causes a problem in certain theories why the residuals exist. But they would be right. There's no never it never had a tail. There was no date of change. So in terms of reality acting completely insane regarding what's happening now or what happened to the regular flu, people it's like a shift, and then they look at us like, well, why are you even asking that? It's always been this way. And that's why they're introducing this thing as the new normal where people will be like, what's going on now, the constant checking and testing and the constant turning on the news, and it's just endless talk of V. I mean, the news, the local news, V, 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 V. It's just endless, 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 and like how, and some people are bordering on, rediscovering, not being completely hardened into wood, like a reverse Pinocchio. The process is called a reverse Pinocchio. My mother will always be, I don't want to say always, I don't want to like doom her or anything like that, but I believe, if I had to guess, she's always going to fall on that normie side. She defends politics and all that, but there's little signs of hope that I've seen recently. And also, I've talked about Tony, signs of hope, complaining about his job situation, or the old employer saying we were outperforming every other unit in a company with 30 some thousand employees, that is based in France, but they're in 25 countries. We were outperforming everybody, and then they brought some old hack, old degenerate in from corporate, and all the guy did was then start screwing us up. And I'm trying to tell him, and I did address this, guys, and so I'll be brief, that like they don't want success the way, it can't abide by your success. It's always going to bring in a degenerate from corporate to screw you up, to slow you down. Well, he's starting to see things like that, and then listen to my way out, whacked explanations. He's even listening to me when I'm talking about reality itself can't abide by your success, and he's actually listening to me instead of covering his ears and going, "This guy is still nuts. Matt's still nuts." And then so my mother, what she's done is she just will not watch the news anymore. She doesn't realize why she's doing what she's doing. Just little symptoms of us being hopeful in certain people. She's just like, the constant propaganda of this thing going on now, she can't deal with it. And it's not that she's afraid of it or anything. It's like she senses deep down, in my opinion, how much bullshit this is, and just doesn't want any part of it anymore. But then she'll go read the Philadelphia Inquirer. So I don't think she's capable of fully coming around, but these are positive signs we're seeing in a lot of people, because it's taking such a big bite. It's taking such a big bite. The yin and yang, there's a reason why it's the most recognized, famous, powerful symbol of all time. There's no other symbol like the yin and yang. It has to give back, and demand it will give you back on the other side. For the bite it's taking, these creeps are taking, it has to give back, if only in our own understanding. But what do you want it to give back? You want a Ferrari to appear in your driveway? I don't want that kind of give back. I want the give back I want is an understanding of the whole deal that's going on here, the spiritual role of going through this life, my connections to things and parts of me that aren't even here. I want those levels of understanding, and as it takes its bites, it has to give that understanding back, and we're absolutely benefiting from it. And just to close, the way I presented it, about, I don't know, whenever I did this 8 months ago or so, it still applies. And it applies to the river, the ship of fools and the river of insanity example. You have two people, person that can see, people like you, people like me, and then Andy. And the ship, this person, just for whatever the event was, is woken up to something, whether it be 7/11 in 2001 Space Odyssey, or whatever it may be. They're like, okay, there's a whole world going on here that's just doesn't something doesn't isn't quite right. That's not presented in the news. Authorities not telling me the truth. I'm just, and maybe they'll hang on the rail for a while, and eventually they're going to jump. They're just going to say, well, maybe they'll tether behind the ship and they'll just see what happens. But they're off the ship, so the influence of the ship is gone. They're like, something's not right here in reality itself. I don't think it's a complete jump and try to swim to the bank. It's like float behind with a rope on, what are those little life rings or whatever, and just say, wait a second, I want to be off the ship for a while and observe it. But then you're kind of immune to it if you've jumped. So then there's all sorts of changes that happen on the ship. I think it's changes to the metaphysical under governing dynamics of the reality itself. It changes. So they've jumped wherever they've jumped, or they're just kind of hanging off the railing. They're at this level, and maybe their spouse or whatever was at this level, but this person's not, for many reasons, whatever, not willing to jump. then reality itself, in my opinion, reality itself changes. Then this person is, they're off the ship. They're not going to change with it. It's going to morph. It's going to flow. Call it a Mandela effect. Call it just if you want to just pedestrian explanations as to what it is. Changes in culture, changes in society, secret societies doing things, governments lying, but whatever it is, this person is the 5G at play. Absolutely, the technologies are at play. Is the smartphone at play as to why this guy will move with it? Absolutely. We don't have to understand the mechanism of how the ride works. We just have to get off. So moves, ship sails, moves. But see, they're growing farther apart. Moves. Honey, can't you see that what was just presented on the news is fake? It's not fake to this person at all. It's completely the way they're going along with it. They're separating it. This person is at least now they could probably go return to a reality and remember and move farther. But at least, if nothing else, they've leveled. They're not going to move with the insanity anymore. And this person is moving with society. Everything on the ship is normal to this person. So they're looking back. He's looking back down the normie at the person that's jumped, and he's seeing Anne as insane, and he would be right because there is no other metrics of standards of how to judge things than the ship. The ship is reality itself. It's not like a city in the reality. It's this place we called Earth. His mocking of this person is justified by these warped and sick metrics. These people, if they go along, they're forgetting what life is supposed to be, what a human being is supposed to be. So there is no getting upset if you're Anne. You can't get upset at this person. This person is doing um, well. I don't know how to put it. I was going to say this person's doing exactly what reality dictates they should do, which is true. The reality is a corruptor. What you should do is separate yourself from it. But in terms of it, how bad is this person doing if they're fully going along with every aspect of how reality presents itself through government, society, culture, norms, what people down your street are doing, what your family and friends are doing. You can't get upset at this person because from this reality's perspective, and that's where we are, we're still here, they're right. Anne's wrong. You're wrong. I'm wrong. You can't ultimately, if you back up far enough, look down from your spiritual self out of the snow globe. We're right. Remembering this person's trying to attach a root back to what's maybe 100 trillion times more important than what this person finds important. But we are here on their turf. This is Andy's turf, not our turf. We're playing on their we're not playing on their field, but we're still on the field. We walked off the field and sat on the bleacher. This person can't understand why we won't play. Come out and play. Why don't you come out and play soccer? We can't leave the field because we are here alive in this body, in this place. We can't leave the field. But the person's like, well, she refuses to play. There's something wrong with her, and he's right. As long as we're here, he's right. If you back up far enough, leave the snow globe, look down in the earth realm, little 22, let's look down together. Then ultimately, from a cosmic perspective, we're right. But we're here, so don't get upset at these people. Okay? Don't get upset at these people. He's right as long as we're here, if that makes any sense. Now, what's the consequence for that? We can't get into that now. Person making all the wrong choices, attaching to everything this life says to attach to, bowing down to every false idol it presents. What's the consequence for this? There's that whole group of people. There is no consequence. I don't know. I don't know. They certainly one consequence, even if it's not dooming your soul or whatever, it could be they didn't learn anything. There's some sort of consequence. They didn't learn what this person learned. That's obvious. But in terms of a massive consequence, I mean, we don't want to get into open that debate up. That is a serious debate, but for another time. But just the point of this last segment is you can't be upset, and Raggedy at Andy. Okay, if anything, you have a spouse and kids. You have a lot in common still. You like to watch the Game of Thrones, whatever. You're gonna have to You're gonna have to. You're not. He's not gonna come down to your level, and you don't expect him to. This person's fully jiving with the reality. That's what people do here. We're the oddball, on the one that jumped the ship. The one that this person just sees you all wet and like, why is she swimming away from the ship in the ice? Like, Jack, hold on to the ice. So there is this person's not going to come down and meet you in the middle. No, you're going to have to be the bigger person if you want to hold on to the relationship and go. You're going to have to jump back into on the ship. Put your armor on. Go back onto the ship. Watch the Game of Thrones. Take care of the kids. Enjoy, nostalgia, past memories, what you guys like together. You're going to have to get back on the ship. He ain't going to swim around with you down there and meet you. No, no, no. That ain't the way it works here. Okay. So hopefully that just helps some people. But it's easy for me to say, right? I don't. All I have to do up here is study dark reality and be left alone. I know it's a lot harder for people with wife, husband, big families. It's much more complicated than the way I'm presenting it. So thanks for watching, guys. I probably will be back tomorrow. Um, I don't know exactly what I'll do tomorrow, but I definitely will. If I don't do anything tomorrow, I definitely will do. I'll just put more time into the free voice, video on Sunday. Thanks, guys.